On this episode of CEOs of the Industry, we're joined by Michael Agerley, partner at IQinAbox. We explore how data-driven thinking is shaping decision-making across the livestock industry. Welcome back to CEOs of the Industry International Edition. I'm your host, Jim Eady from SwineWeb, with Dr. Chris Gutierrez from SIVA Animal Health and Michael Agerley, partner from IQinAbox. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Jim.
I'll let you lead the conversation, Chris. We'll get started with the veterinarian to data partner.
We have the opportunity today to engage Michael and share a little bit more about you and about what you do for the industry. So I would like to start with the basics. So tell us a little bit about your journey uh, from veterinarian to becoming the leader in IQinAbox.
Thank you, Chris. Well, it's been a journey starting 20 years ago when I first started as a vet, and then a few years later bought my share of the company of that time, becoming more and more professional. I found out that a lot of the decisions were not really based on facts. They were based on assumptions, what the neighbor was doing or what we heard in the market was good. So I felt that I was involved in taking quite big decisions on grounds of very poor data, and results were not always very replicable. So I set on early on to generate more data for the clients. I co-developed a program together with a feed mill at that time to monitor weight development and FCR impact on different actions. And last year, I decided to stop my career as a veterinarian after 20 years and go all in on data in a partnership with IQinAbox.
I think it's fair to say, Michael, some of us started when pork production was being run on paper sheets. So certainly a lot has changed in the last 20 years. How does your veterinary background shape the way you think about these digital tools?
It actually, I think in a funny way or an interesting way, my role at the company, or part of my role, is also to help translate very difficult information into decisions. And that is very similar to the role of a good vet, where our job is to absorb a lot of difficult information and make a plan that is easy to bring into action on the farm with a good result. So in IQinAbox, we have very high capabilities on data analysis, artificial intelligence, and so on. But it doesn't really create a lot of value unless we can present it to our client base in a way that makes it easy for them to make decisions. So that part of my experience as a vet, I bring into the company. Of course, also other aspects. I see the world from the stables and out. So I also bring in another vision on what data is required for making good decisions.
And for those that have not been necessarily exposed to your work or have been directly in touch with IQinAbox, what would be the high-level description that you would bring, Michael, to the people that need to be working more with you?
Basically, we approach the industry very different. So we try to approach the pork value chain as a whole. So our software is not very comparable to other management softwares, as we integrate with the whole pork value chain. For example, in Denmark, we are deeply integrated to all the slaughterhouses, to all the feed mills, and a lot of other companies in the side industries, which gives us a data flow on a daily basis that we are able to use for calculations, predictions, etc. So we have a continuous stream of information. And when we generate value for the farmer, At the same time, we're able to generate value for the feed mill, since we're able to show them which feed has the lowest FCR impact and so on. And we're able at the same time to create a stream of information for the slaughterhouse so they can optimize their business. So we are a big data AI company, a SaaS company with integration to hardware and companies in the pork value chain.
So you are in the business of turning data into decisions with IQinAbox, Michael. So what is, from your perspective, the biggest untapped potential in swine production today?
I think a lot. We are very focused on pigs from weaning to slaughter, and we can see there's huge untapped potential still in FCR. We are one of my mantras is that 70% of the cost to produce a kilo of meat is feed. 70% of the feed is consumed after weaning, and we only utilize 70% of the genetic potential in the breeds we use. So if you put all that together, there's a huge untapped potential in lowering costs, at the same time lowering the carbon footprint, and at the same time actually increasing growth rates, so you're able to increase your capacity utilization at the same time. So, for example, for the Danish market, I calculated that there is around 300 million euros in easy optimization, just implementing knowledge.
So in
for
terms
the
of
farmer.
I see. In terms of footprint, Michael, in which geographies are you present today? Where are you making this change from disconnected data to one flow of constant information for farmers?
So we have started in Denmark 4 or 5 years ago, and we now have around 90% of the flow to Danish slaughterhouses represented in our software. We are present in Sweden, and the last 6 months, we have started up in 5 other countries, mainly in East Europe.
That's the perfect transition for you, Jim, to take us deeper into the European perspective.
Yeah, Michael. So from the European standpoint, how is technology adoption evolving in pig production?
I think it's very low. If you look at how fast things are moving, how other industries work with data and digital solutions, you can, for example, mention the car industry, Volkswagen or Tesla, using Palantir software to monitor their whole flow, but also integrating into all the suppliers of raw materials, monitoring every step, monitoring every robot with sensors. We have a very low degree of digitalization in the farming sector. And the interesting is we have the highest degree of variation because we work with biology. And so if you have a very high degree of variation, you have also a very high degree of improvement potential.
Do you find producers are embracing the digital tools more quickly now?
Yes, especially when they have achieved some scale. So I see the adoption and the talks we're having are very deep and interesting with big feed mills, big slaughterhouses, and also bigger integrations. If you look at a small, medium business level on a farm, it's a little bit slower. With our software, usually they will be integrated through a bigger partner, which might be a slaughterhouse or a feed company. So it's speeding up, but we are very far away from other industries comparable in size.
So when we look globally, what challenges do you think is slowing down innovation, Michael?
Sorry?
So when we look on a global scale, what challenges are slowing down innovation?
in general, what is slowing down innovation is bureaucracy and red tape. If that's your question, and to some extent, it looks like we are leaders in Europe on that part. Yeah.
So when we look at the future of smart pig production, 5 to 10 years from now, when you look at big data and smart technology, how do you see that reshaping the pork industry?
I think we will. For now, I think the first steps are what we are doing. So is better integration of data, better analysis, things that would be a quarterly report we can do in a day, and we can do it again the next day. So just better, faster data flow. And then what we are doing a lot is integrating sensors, monitoring. So you could say the hardware enabling of the SaaS. I think that will be big. I think we will have many more sensors, both in the barns, but also on the animals.
So with where we are today with AI, will it continue to play a central role and how will that evolve?
AI is speeding up extremely fast. I'm a 50-year-old vet, and what I have learned to do on a computer in the last 6 months is impressive. I even have agents doing the shopping list and looking at the cheapest offers for me, so my wife doesn't need to stress about it. So I think AI will just speed up things. It will also speed up the production of software. It gets less and less difficult. But where the true value is on sensors and integration of systems. That's where I see the true value. The value in software itself will drop as I see it.
And then with that, how do we balance technology with the practical farm realities?
As some and focus slow with not too much equipment. The equipment needs to be strong and tested. Because we are still at farm level, we have a lot of ammonia in the air, we have wear and tear, and we also need to be able to train the people to use it. So it's very important because, in theory, sensors, cameras, etc., are very cheap, but they need to be optimized for farm conditions and calibrated before they work.
And then into your leadership and responsibility, Michael, as a veterinarian and now partner in a data-driven company, what responsibility do leaders have in helping the industry make better decisions?
I think we have a very big, let me just think. We are very focused on that role, and I think it is natural, and there's a lot of potential in it. It's both optimizing economy on the farms. At the same time, since feed is the biggest cost driver, we are optimizing the carbon consumption. But at the same time, we're also able to monitor animals better to prevent disease outbreaks earlier, treat animals faster. So I think it's a big responsibility, but also a very big potential.
And how do we build trust in digital solutions?
Yeah, by very simply by showing our clients that we create value.
And then any advice that you would give young professionals entering the industry?
I think young professionals entering our industry need to have a digital leg in their career because the solutions are evolving very fast. And you need to be part of it. You should make it a daily routine to also use AI so you don't get left behind on how fast it's developing. So the digital part of our workspace needs to be a part of the daily work.
You were talking about value and proving that we are there for a reason with our solutions, Michael. That's true for animal health companies, for data companies. We are in the business of creating value for farmers. So what are some of the early successes, or what is some of the early feedback that you're getting with IQinAbox?
What we have changed is actually a lot of things, but we're able to show the farmer very early when things are changing in his farm, worse or to the good side or to the bad side, and also give him a very clear idea on what was the cause for this change. Also, on our camera technology, we are able to exactly tell him where he has a problem in his pigs. We are not that good yet at what is the problem, but over a lifespan of 24 weeks, if we can tell him it's from week 4 to 8 that you lose your potential, it's very easy for him to solve the problem. So we can give him speed in decision making. We can give him speed in finding the problem. I think we have done a tremendous change in the feed industry since we're able to deliver such strong data on performance. I know for a fact that the number of different feed formulations in Denmark has reduced drastically because everybody is now much more sure on what actually works in the field.
Informed decision making to keep farmers profitable in a very competitive landscape. Very clear. Back to you, Jim.
Let's close with a fast three, Michael. Three questions. One word that describes the future of pig production.
Yeah, one word that I would say data driven.
I think that's a great answer. The biggest decision producers struggle with today.
I think the biggest, yeah, okay, three shorts. In which infrastructure should they invest?
And data or intuition, which leads the future?
Data.
Well, Michael Agerley, thanks for joining us on CEOs of the Industry.
Thank you for the opportunity.